All right, high income copywriters. Hello, hello, how are we doing? Hi, okay, so mic check already done. You can hear me loud and clear. Loud and clear. All right, so I wanted to give a quick reminder that Discord is where our class chat is. And to use Discord, you have to put your first and last registered name as your username. So make sure that if your username is looking any other type of way, to put your first and last registered name. If you were kicked out on class number 1, the reason is most likely that you did not have your first and last registered name, and so you had to be kicked out. So just make sure you do that, otherwise you'll get kicked out. And if it doesn't match our backend, again, you'll be kicked out. So make sure you engage. You got it, Discord. We're all good. All right. Now, first of all, I wanted to make sure to hear what you have to say about the assignments. How many of you have done all 4 of the sales letter and ads hand copy? All 4. And how many of you have done the minimum, at the very least, the minimum? Yes, hand hurts. Good. Because I've seen a lot of you posted the picture up of your hand copy in Facebook. So keep that going, keep that accountability. And all of our homework, how many of you actually done all of our assignments? Just like Sifu said. Yes. Good. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Sergeant Desmond Soon, our Executive Director of Dan Lok Education. Desmond?
Tina and high income copywriters. Wow, we are back for another week. Congratulations. And Tina, I must say that this group is very diligent. We see them doing the homework assignments, many screenshots, very clear screenshots. It seems that this group knows how to follow instructions. They know how to be accountable. They know how to be dependable, all the traits that we need in high income copywriters. But I think the biggest thing is we all want to learn how to, make more money in shorter periods of time. And I think that's what Sifu is going to be covering tonight. So who wants to learn about that? Who wants to learn how to speed up the process, reduce some of the headaches, and then also be able to have the life that you want? All right. I noticed that many of you wrote those checks. I saw those checks. Those were very impressive, those numbers. In fact, some of those numbers were bigger than my check that I wrote. So I was very impressed to see that you guys are dreaming big. So congratulations. Well done. So without further ado, today we're in for a treat. Not only is Sifu going to be coming on, he's going to be bringing on some of the superstar Avenger copywriters, the members that are going to be sharing their stories as well as also their experience on how to be the very best copywriter. So get together. Get on your feet. You know how to do this. Put your hands together wherever you are. And if you're driving, do it safely. Put your hands together. Help me bring to the stage your Sifu, our mentor, your mentor, Sifu Dan Lok.
High income copywriters, put in the chat how many of you have been doing the affirmations? Yes? How many of you have written yourself a check? The very first check you're going to earn using your copywriting skill. Put it in the chat. And how many of you have been writing those sales letters? Not typing, pen and pencil. How many have been doing that? Good, good. And I saw a lot of the different Facebook posts, your video, and I saw for some of the members, you are making your first intro video. And I know for some, you may be an introvert. It is not easy to step out of your comfort zone to make that first intro video. But within HIC, this is a very safe environment. What is it? A very safe environment, because this is how we're going to learn and grow together. In the future, you're going to post some of the work that you do and some of the copy that you have written, and we're all here to support and also provide feedback to you. So it's a very safe environment. When I say safe, it means that we don't judge. We don't judge. We don't judge based on your look, your age, your background, your color, experience, no experience. None of that matters. We're all here because of one thing, to become a better version of ourselves. This is making sense. Good. So today, week 2, we're going to talk about 7 copywriting secrets and sales psychology, and how and why people buy. As a reminder, everything that Sifu is teaching you is confidential and exclusive for who? Is for your eyes only. What happens in HIC stays in HIC. Can we agree on that? Yes? And I'll do my very best. Last week, I think we went a little over time. I want to see if this week I could keep it within, I don't know, maybe 3 hours-ish that I can go through all the materials, right? 6 hours. Okay. And let me bring on the copywriting team. Now, for some, you may know. For some, you may not know. How many have seen some of the introduction videos done by the copywriting team? Yes? Okay. Now, this is the Lara, our lead graphic designer, who designed this, kind of based on the Avengers, the superhero copywriting team. Let's see if we emphasize this. They are not actually cartoon characters. They are real people. Okay, they are real people. Okay, they are real people. So I want to bring on each one of them and share with you, and have them share with you a little bit of the story and what has copywriting done for them and how they even got into copywriting. So let me start off with on the far left, which is Stephen. Let's have Stephen come on and share his story.
All right, thank you, Sifu. So thank you for giving me a few minutes to just share the background. I think this is pretty important because a lot of students in HIC right now, just a couple of years ago, I had no idea what copywriting actually is, right? I've always had a fascination with sales. I always had a fascination with psychology. Turns out I was doing copywriting my whole life without actually knowing it. So see, for your question was, how did I get into copywriting? Well, basically, if we take a couple of steps back, like throughout my life, I was actually pretty lost in what I wanted to do. All I knew was growing up is that I saw my parents fight a lot about money, like a lot. I grew up in the east side of Vancouver. If you guys are local here, Kingsway and Victoria, the Vietnamese area, right? So there's a lot of pho restaurants there, a lot of Vietnamese immigrants. So basically, we lived in this little place, and every night I'd hear my parents fight through the walls, paper thin walls. And somewhere along the lines, I don't know what it was. Maybe I just felt like because they're fighting about money so much that if only when I grow up, if I make enough money, then I will make them stop fighting. Maybe that I would make them proud. Maybe I would be able to have a family where there would be no fighting. Right? So from there, I had this seed of desire that just grew over and over as I got older. So whenever people ask me growing up, hey, Stephen, what do you want to be when you're older? I'm like, I don't know, but I want to be rich. That's it. They're like, what do you want to be? I'm like, I don't know. I just want to be rich. So long story short, that led me into a lot of short-term thinking, and I got myself into a lot of scams, probably like a lot of you. I don't know. Probably before HIC, you might have signed up for different courses, right? I got pulled into Amway. I got pulled into this random thing where I just gave this guy like a few $1,000s, all my savings. And it was just I'm not going to get into it. It was just so dumb. Just like trying to make it rich, right? So it wasn't until one day when I was on Google. I don't know if you guys know this story. I don't think I've actually shared it on any of the YouTube videos online, but long story short, I was like, okay, I tried so many things that failed. I tried to start a tourism company, tried different MLMs, all this different, tried door-to-door sales, tried to scam people with their later on, I realized it was probably a scam because I was trying to sell like this, how to reduce their electric bill thing. I can't even explain it properly now. I can't remember. But long story short, I was like, I can't do this on my own. Like I just sat there. I'm like, I can't do this on my own. So I went onto Google. I just typed in Vancouver millionaire, just hoping that I would find somebody to show me what I was doing wrong, looking for that Sifu, looking for that mentor in my life, right? Go down the list. I don't remember where. Somewhere along the lines, I came across Sifu and I just cold emailed him, right? I'm like, hey, like, can you, like, I've seen your videos. I think at that point, Seafood just had a few videos on YouTube, like, I don't know, like under 10 or 20 or something like that. And I'm like, hey, like, I saw your videos. Like, can you show me what, how you made it in life, how you were able to make your parents proud? Because I heard your story. I heard how you came from Hong Kong, your parents divorced, and all that. And basically, Seafood was like, no. I'm like, can I buy you lunch? Can I wash you? Can I like, drive you around to the airport? Blah, blah, blah. Do you play golf? Do you work out? I'll drive you to the gym, all that kind of stuff. So he was like, no. He's like, come to my event. So long story short, I went to the event, started building a relationship. A couple of months later, Sifu was actually the first one who actually got me into copywriting. He didn't actually tell me exactly what he was doing. I didn't know that, he was going to train me to be a copywriter. All I knew was that, he needed some help, right? And I was I really wanted to be closer to Sifu. I really want to help out. And he's like, why don't you write this sales letter? I remember the first client, it was GoBC. Sifu, you still remember GoBC?
I remember. Yana.
Yeah. Yana, that's right. So Sifu was like, all right, Yana needs a sales letter. You're going to learn how to write sales copy. And the first 2 books he ever gave me, you guys can write this down. These are great, great books because these books blew my mind away. I was just so amazed. I'm like, holy crap. This is like a scientific thing that I can actually learn. And I love this shit. So the 2 books was Launch by Jeff Walker. And the second one was .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. So Launch by Jeff Walker and .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. So Launch, I read it. I just remember I took so many notes. I can flip open the book today. I just wrote like crazy amount of notes on the page. I'm like, holy crap, this is amazing stuff. So long story short, that's how I got into copywriting. Since then, I've just been so blessed, so grateful to have Sifu Dan Locke be my mentor and to show me step by step how to become an amazing copywriter. All along the way, I also have to give shout outs to my other copy mentor, Paris Lampropoulos, and also other people who have helped me along the way as well. But mostly Sifu, just having the patience and showing me and tearing apart my sales layers. Even until this day, he pushes me to the limit. He would tell me blank straight out, just like how he's going to call, and all of us are going to call you out when your work is garbage, right? So very, very grateful. Don't want to take up too much time away from the other instructors because we all have, not just myself, but Ed trains with the best. Peter works with the best. All of us are constantly, much like you, also in student mode, learning, absorbing, pushing each other to a limit, handwriting copy, all that stuff. So we're going to get more into it. I'm going to pass the mic to Ed, I believe, who is next in line.
Fantastic. Ed?
HIC, how is it going, everybody? This is Ed here. I am beyond excited to be sharing my story with you guys today. Hey, everyone. Good to see y'all. So, man, when I was a lot younger, saying this being born in 2000, when I was younger and I was 15, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I looked at everybody else and I saw that they were in their jobs. They were doing work they didn't like. They went to school, they went in debt, and they weren't happy with their lives. They weren't happy with the way things are going. Have you guys ever noticed that? And like, that's all I could think about. I'm like, okay, so what are my options? So I did a lot of research online and I found out that entrepreneurship is a real thing. So when I was 15, I reached out to an entrepreneur in Vancouver and I interned for him for free for quite a while. I was just doing medial tasks here and there. And eventually he moved me to marketing, where actually this is when I met Steven, who you just heard from. And he started teaching me copywriting. So he started teaching me copywriting when I was 15 years old. And we worked together for a little bit. And unfortunately, we parted ways with the client because he wasn't paying us. But Steven said something that I still remember today. He said, Ed, if you keep doing what you're doing, we're going to be working together in the future very soon. Now, I didn't know the power of those words when he said that to me, but now it makes all the sense in the world. You guys are going to find that there are some weird coincidences that happen in your life. You'll look back and you'll go, I'm so grateful that that moment happened. So after I learned copywriting from Steven, fast forward a year or two, when I was 16 years old, I joined an MLM. I lost $5,000 trying to sell this like water stuff. But I was writing Facebook ads every single day. every single day, which is one of the core fundamentals of high income copywriting. So after all that time, sure, I may have lost $5,000. Yeah, miracle water everywhere. I may have lost $5,000, but I had gained the experience of writing ads. So eventually, one of my friends introduced me to Sifu's event in Vancouver, which unfortunately he no longer does, is the Vancouver Entrepreneur Group. And that's when I decided that I could start a freelance copywriting agency. So I would take this high income skill that I just discovered and just start charging money for it. So funny story, I got my first client, but because I was like 16, I didn't have a method of payment. So I closed this guy on paying me $250 to teach him copywriting for a month, but I didn't have any method of payment. I had no PayPal because you had to be 18 to open up a PayPal account. So I had to convince my older brother to make one for me so I could use it to get clients to pay me. So that was the first time I got a client. And then eventually my copywriting skill increased. So I started charging $250 per month, and then I would charge a couple $100 per client, per project, which is decent money for a 16, 17-year-old. Eventually, my copywriting skill increased, and I wanted to join HTC. So I worked all summer. I worked super long, and I got 5 clients to pay me $500, which was just enough to join HTC at the time. And actually, it's funny because in my class, as the last class of the day, I asked my teacher. So we got into class, this geography class. I'm like, I raised my hand and go, Mr. Hall, I have a business call at the end, like before the end of class. Can I leave 5 minutes early to take it, please? He says, yeah, sure. Okay, go ahead, do your thing. He's really cool. We had a good relationship. And that was my first $1,000 copywriting client that I closed at school. So after that, I closed, because of my copywriting skill, I earned $1,000 a month for consulting. And eventually I partnered up with a 7-figure business owner. I earned 5% royalty, and he paid me $2.5K a month, plus a couple other consulting clients who paid me $1,000 a month. So I was doing $4.5K a month as a 17-year-old in high school. But I didn't stop there. I wanted more. How many of you want more? How many of you want to keep pushing your limits and keep pushing towards where you know you can be? Awesome. These guys are amazing. I love you. You guys are awesome. And so I kept bugging Sifu. Sifu, please let me join Team Denlock. Please let me be a copywriter for you. Please let me close for you. Let me do something for you. And I kept writing for him for free and offering value and following up and doing the best that I could until he let me join. Team Denlock is the most fun, growth-oriented opportunity I could have ever imagined. When I was growing up, I didn't have many friends. I had a lot of social issues. These people on the team now, they're my family and my friends. I haven't celebrated my last 2 birthdays with anyone else except for my family here at Team Denlock. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world. I wouldn't want to work for anyone else, do anything else, or work with anyone else. Sifu and the team have been a tremendous influence on my life, and I wouldn't be half of who I am today without them. Sifu, Team Denlock is my family and my home. Thank you so much for changing my life. Thank you for believing in me. And thank you for giving me an opportunity when no one else would.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And you could see the key to becoming a high-income copywriter is you must have been burned by MLM multiple times. That's the key to success. That's mandatory. Okay. Thank you, Peter.
Hey, Sifu. Hey, HIC. How's it going? Yes, and I've definitely been burned by MLM before too.
You see, there's a pattern here.
Yeah, I think we talked about it. Like almost everyone on Team Denlock has been burned by like MLM in the past or something. It's so crazy. Cool. Yeah, so a bit about my story. It kind of all started when I just graduated from university, and I took this backpacking trip through all of Southeast Asia, through like Thailand, Cambodia, Singapore, all that great stuff. And I don't know if you guys have been like traveling, but like traveling, it's so freaking fun. And after I came back, I was just hooked on it. And I just wanted to live like a life of freedom, fun, and adventure. right? That was really what drove me. So like the first thing I did was I just went on Google and I searched, how do you make money online? And I'm not sure, maybe you've been like this too, but you just get pulled into so many different directions, right? And I got pulled into, I think it was like a lot of Facebook ads, some copywriting, some funnel building, some digital media stuff, some blog stuff, some drop shipping, some Amazon stuff. And I just learning everything I could, but I was not acting on anything. Anytime something seemed like it was a good opportunity to make money, I jumped on it. And as soon as it was like getting hard, I just stopped. I'm like, this stuff is a scam, right? I'm going to do the next thing. I'm going to do the next thing. I'm going to do the next thing. And at one point, I was just burning through my savings. I still was living with my mom, and I just had to find like a way out. I was stuck. I was at like the bottom, and my thoughts were kind of spiraling down negative, towards a negative way. Like, you know, when you're thinking negative thoughts and you're kind of by yourself, it just eats you up in a different way. And I knew I had to get out of it. So I did something a little bit drastic, but it changed my life forever. I went down, I'm in Vancouver. I went down to the Washington State, went to this little abandoned barn, not abandoned, but it was like secluded barn. And I meditated there for 10 days for a total of 100 hours. So if you guys don't know what this is part of the Vipassana program, and it's free all over the world. You can get access to it anywhere. And if you don't know what Vipassana is, it's basically you go to this location, they take away your phone, they take away your electronics, and you basically just meditate for 10 days. And you're not even allowed to make eye contact with people. So something very interesting happens when you're left alone with yourself and your thoughts for 10 days straight, and you're not allowed to leave. You're not allowed to go on social media to like kind of drown out the pain, drown out the noise. You're not allowed to like go socialize with your friends. You're not allowed to go drink and like just you're not allowed to indulge in any type of escapism. So like the first 2-3 days, I was like in complete hell. All the negative thoughts start surfacing up, like, you can't do this, you're a failure. Why did you think you could even like make it out on your own? Like if you got a job right now, you actually will save so much money. You'll be like, okay, like all your friends are asking you, what are you doing? How's the business going? And you can't even answer it. And the first 2-3 days was really tough. But then something kind of happened in the days 4 and 5. The thoughts kind of cleared up. You gain distance from it. And from days 6 to 10, I'm getting more clear on my thoughts, the negative patterns that are happening, and I gain more clarity on my life. I started looking back at all these digital marketers, and I asked myself this one question: like, why are so many people making money online and I'm struggling? Like, what's the thing that's separating the people who are successful and the people that are not successful? What's separating the people who are successful from me? And I think it came down to one thing. And I studied all these successful people, and I'm sure you can probably already guess what it is. They all started with a high income skill first, whether it's salesmanship or copywriting or some type of other skill. They all made money with one skill first. And during those 10 days of meditation, I'm not sure what it is, but just something about my intuition told me I needed to pursue copywriting. I'm not sure what it is. I can't really explain it, but something in my gut just told me to pursue copywriting. And it wasn't a strong, passionate thing. It was a very subtle tug. It was a very subtle calling to do it. So when I got back to Vancouver, I went home, I searched up what's the best way to improve at copywriting. And can you guys guess what the best exercise is for getting better at copywriting is? Yep. Handwriting, hand copying sales letters. So for the next 90 days, every day I got up in the morning and I hand copied ads for 33 minutes or 66 minutes because some famous copywriters said you should hand copy it in like 33-minute segments. So I followed that to a T. And I did that every day, 90 days, all the sales letters, emails, Facebook ads. I copied the best. And after 90 days, I got my first client. But my first client was someone from Upwork, and they paid me $15 to write a about page for their freelance website. So that was my first client. Then my second client was what got a bit better. I got a bit more experience. They paid me $800 a month. And then a couple months later, got another $1,500. And then I slowly was working my way up. Eventually, I got to work with some 7-figure clients, some people who I'm still really good friends with today. And just some of the best clients I could ever work with in the world. And I finally achieved my dream of living a life of freedom, fun, and adventure. And last year, I was living in Budapest for like 3 months, right? So I was working on my laptop. I was working in Budapest, sipping cappuccinos or Americanos in little cafes around the city. It was super fun, but something unexpected kind of happened when I was traveling, living the laptop lifestyle. After the first month, it actually got really boring, really lonely, and my growth was actually really stunted. Like there's another side about traveling lifestyle that people don't really tell you. And it's that everybody who comes into your life, they're also traveling too, and they leave. So even if you build a best friendship, they leave the next day. It's very hard to surround yourself with people who are growing because it's just hard to build relationships. And it gets boring after a bit because you're doing the same type of work and it's not really challenging you. You're making okay money, but in the end, I was playing very small. I was playing a very small life. I was very selfish. I just wanted to get the best type of life for me, but I wasn't really thinking about like helping the world or growing. And little did you know, I started having a chat with Steven, who I've been friends at that point for about 3 years. And he was talking to me, he's like, hey, Peter, like I'm working with Seafood Dan Lok, and he's doing this, he's doing that. He's got this great vision. Like, do you want to hear more about it? Yes, Steven brings in a lot of people to this team. Like Steven's such a boss. So I was chatting with Steven, and he shared with me the vision, and he asked me like, would you be interested in like joining the team and seeing if this is a good fit? And without a doubt, without skipping a beat, I said, hell yes, let me join. And I joined the team. It's been a year since then. I've been doing the copywriting for the emails, for some of the sales pages, for some of the, actually you've probably read most of my emails if you've read Sifu's emails. And it's been a year. And if you feel like class 1 was drinking from a fire hydrant, working in Team Dan Lok is like your face is right underneath a waterfall, right? You're exposed to the best people. You're exposed to the best in the world. Sifu is constantly critiquing your copy, telling you how to improve it, how to make it go from a 9 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. And it's just absolutely the best experience of my life. And I'm surrounded with 8 players like Blake, like Ed, Steven, Tina, so many different people who just won't put up with any type of BS that you're forced to elevate to a higher level and to grow. And it's just been so amazing. And I've been so blessed. And I guess if there's anything you guys need to take away from my story is that just get good at this skill. And when the opportunity comes, you're going to be ready. Right?
Great lesson.
Yes.
Great lesson.
That's it.
And Blake?
All right. How are y'all doing? I think that I might be the only one, Sifu, that wasn't burned by MLMs here.
Oh, man. Okay, we got to sign you up. We got to get you an Amway application. Let's get it going.
I know you guys got the connections. Maybe you guys can recruit.
That's it. We needed some lotion, potion, vitamin, and shit.
Yeah, I guess I'll just jump in here. Basically, I'll fast forward a little bit in my life, obviously, but for those of you who don't know, because I know a lot of you guys know me already, from other things that we've connected through, but back in the day, not too long ago, like I'm talking literally 3 years ago, I was working in a clinic as a laser technician. I studied kinesiology. I studied fitness and health because everybody always told me, like, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this, go to school, get a job, and then you'll have an amazing life. Anybody relate to that? Anybody been told that BS before? There you go. There's some truth there. So I went to school. I did college and university. By the time I was done, I had gotten rid of all of my savings that I had because I had been working since I was 13. And at the same time, I walked out of school with about $18,000 in debt. And I was like, yeah, but this is it. I got my piece of paper. I've got my degree. I'm good to go. So, long story short, I had a bit of a weird relationship kind of going on at the time. And as soon as I graduated, I was kind of like, what the hell am I doing? And I kind of left my parents' home. In 1 week, I left my parents' house, changed jobs, broke up with my girlfriend, got my first apartment, and started like a whole new life all in 1 week. And it was a lot to take in 1 week for sure. Very overwhelming, but I made it through. And I was like, yeah, but this is it. I'm in the promised land. I've made it. I'm here. I've got my paper. I've got my new job. I'm in a clinic. I'm going to make lots of money and like things will be great. Well, let's just say that things didn't end up so great as I had hoped them to be, because I was making about $18 an hour Canadian, and I had to work from 8 a.m. to about 7 p.m. every day. And my boss did not believe in breaks. He didn't believe in any of that shit. However, I do have to thank him a little bit because, him being that hard made me develop my own work ethic in a place where, I almost don't believe in breaks now today. So, which is why Sifu likes me, but that being said, like Ed said, everybody here is like a family that we all do support each other too. So fast forward a little bit though, it seemed like things were going okay. I was making a little bit of money. I had my own apartment. I was kind of on my own in developing myself in the world. And, it just seemed to be all right. And I was kind of happy with everything until I got a really rude awakening in December of 2016, when I basically crunched all the numbers on everything. And at this point, there was about 2 or 3 months before December where I actually had so much credit card debt because I wasn't able to pay my bills. Like, guys, I was only making like $2,000 a month, which is basically nothing. And I hope that you guys never set your bar that low. You guys have so much. And, I would get up. I would go to work from 8 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And then I was also a personal trainer on the side. I'd go drive to the gym and I would train a couple people, and then I would work out myself. And then I would go home, feed my cat, and then I would crash for the night. And I was going over and over and over again like that. And by the time I consolidated all my debt, by the time I was like all burnt out, just trying to keep my roof over my head, I had actually taken that $18,000 of debt up to about $22,000 of debt. And so I basically had undone all of the payments that I had done for the last 2 years were gone. And now my debt was worse than when I started. And, when I crunched the numbers that December, I realized that I literally, if I wanted to keep my roof over my head and be able to eat that month, and by the way, this is the first time I ever did a budget because it was out of sheer necessity. I realized that I had no money to buy Christmas presents for anybody. And I actually did this at the clinic. I was writing down my budget. I'm like, hey, if I got this much money, I got this. There's no way that I can buy anybody a present. And so, that really hit me so hard, because for those of you who don't know, I've got 2 brothers and they've got kids. So I had at the time, they were little nieces and nephews. And I was like, I don't want to show up to Christmas as this uncle. And you know what? We're not a very materialistic family, but I did not want to show up as the fucking uncle on Christmas Day with nothing in my hands for those kids. And I didn't want to be like the failure of the family, the fucking loser. Like everybody's always called me the black sheep. And if there's any black sheeps in here, you know, raise your hand for me, please, so I can see you. And yeah, I honestly, I went to my girlfriend. I was like, look, I said, Shauna, like, I don't think that I can buy anybody, including you, any presents. And you imagine what it takes to say that to somebody. That's like, it's so pathetic. And at the same time, it was like my rock bottom moment. And then she was like, you know what, Blake, it's okay. You don't have to get me anything. Like, we'll just forget it. And I never did. And actually, she's still with me now. We'll be actually celebrating 3 years later on soon. But I remember driving home that night. It was cold. It was snowing like crazy. I was driving home and I was literally punching my steering wheel. And I was like, I'm done with this shit. I'm not living my life paycheck to paycheck anymore. And I'm not going to settle for being the fucking failure in my family anymore. And that was it. Like I can actually remember like exactly the turn off the highway that I actually had this moment. And it was just like, you know, you guys know what a turning point feels like, I'm sure. And that was it for me. And thank God. Luckily for me, I had my birthday in December and somebody gave me like $100 for my birthday. And I literally took that $100 to get the presents for my nieces and nephews. And that literally saved my ass at Christmas. And yeah, and then I went on to, you know, I honestly, I started just reading about like, you know, law of attraction and, you know, like Think and Grow Rich, started reading books and I'm thinking, this is so weird, you know, and like just things just started to change because what I realized, and I hope that you guys take this away from this story too, is that I realized that I was blaming everybody but myself. I blamed my boss that he didn't pay me enough. I blamed society that, you know, that I had to pay the banks. I blamed everybody else but myself. And when I finally was like, you know what? Just forget everybody else. Let's just put it on me. Let's just assume, even if I'm wrong, let's just assume that everything is my fault. If you guys do that, your whole life will change because once you take ownership, you take control. And you know, the Sarge talks about this a lot because he embodies it a lot. It's just like you take extreme ownership and you work towards, you know, whatever you want to be. And then the only one who's in control and who's accountable for it is yourself. So that happened. And then like all of a sudden I started getting this like social media. And then I kept learning about that. Like if anybody knows, like, oh man, I did 52 lessons on social media advertising within about, I think, a week and a half. It's like I would work all day, go home, study for 3 hours, go to the gym, go to sleep, wake up and do it again because I was so amped up on this stuff. And then as I continued to learn, I started to take on some clients, but you know, it took me like 6 months to actually get my first real client. And you'll notice from Peter, from Ed, and from me, and probably from Steven too, it's like you can't just walk out the door and get a client all the time. But if you're consistent and you show up, you will get those clients and you will make that money. You have to be consistent. But anyways, as I continued to go along, I was like, you know what? I want to know more about Facebook ads. So I started to do lead gen and advertising for local businesses. And you know, it just kind of took off from there. And then one day I get a call from the Sarge and he's like, you know, Blake, you know, how much you know about Instagram? And I was like, at the time, because I had been focusing on Facebook, he was like, you know, yeah, we want to look at doing some stuff on Instagram. We want to see, you know, what suggestions you have. So I was like, well, I don't know a lot, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but you know what? I think I know a little bit and I could probably help you guys out. And then he says to me, and this is in such Sarge fashion, he goes, listen, Blake, I'm jumping on a plane right now. I got to go to an event. I'm coming back in 2 days. So you got 2 days to put an Instagram strategy together. And if I like what I see, then maybe I'll give you a shot. And I was like, you got it. Like, I was like, holy shit, though. I tried to play it cool, right? Oh, man. But if you guys ever get on the phone with Sarge, you're closed. It's just a done deal. But anyways, so as soon as I hung up the phone, I looked online. I'm like, Instagram courses. I need to know Instagram courses, right? So I instantly dropped $2,500 on an Instagram course, and I studied. It was like a 7 or 8 week program. And I was like, I messaged their support staff, and I was like, you guys have to give me full access to all the weeks of training right now. Like, I can't wait. This has to come out right now, because they had it on a drip campaign. And they messaged me back, and they're like, oh yeah, sure, here you go. You know, you can unlock all the weeks now. And I went through the whole 8 weeks of the program within 24 hours. And, you know, it was quite a bit to go through, obviously, but, you know, so then I spent the rest of my Sunday, Monday putting together a strategy, and then I sent it off to the Sarge right in time. And yeah, and then he was like, you know what, Blake, this looks pretty good. What would you say if I gave you the opportunity to lead this initiative? And I was like, well, that would be like a dream come true. And then he was like, okay, well, show me what you can fucking do, and then we'll see if I got a spot for you over here. And then, you know, close me again. It's just one close after another. And then I jumped in, and then that was May of last year. And then since then, once I gained some more trust, you know, growing the Instagram page with the help of the team, then Sifu was like, you know what, Blake, you're doing well on Instagram, take over Facebook. And then it went to, like, you know, helping out with Facebook paid. And then in January, he was like, you know what, why don't you just, you know, be the director of marketing, and then I'll throw everything on your plate at once. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was absolutely amazing. And you know, the best thing I can say about working with Sifu and the team is that you are led by somebody who's always overwhelming you, because that's what it takes to grow. If you're complacent, if you're okay with the status quo, then you know what, you're probably in the wrong place. But if you're willing to open your arms to accept overwhelm and understand and realize that it is extremely powerful when it comes to breaking through your barriers and becoming the best version of yourself, it'll literally change your life. And if myself as a personal trainer, you know, laser technician, kinesiologist can turn into, you know, a marketing guy with, you know, or like, and even get into copywriting by being surrounded by these gentlemen, you guys can do anything, and you're in the best place that you could possibly be to make it happen.
Great story. And I want to share a quick story about Blake. Now, you know, notice there was a time, not long ago, that we had issues with Facebook. Okay. And that's how we learn about compliance and scalable copy, and which we will teach all of that to you in HIC. And we were having issues, meaning we were running ads, we were spending a lot of money on Facebook, okay? Like millions of dollars on Facebook. And suddenly our ads are getting shut down, getting disapproved. So imagine you're running ads, you're getting traffic, and suddenly, boom, like it stops. And we were like, what the fuck, right? What is going on here? And we try to tweak the copy and different things, and we couldn't figure out what is going on. And then later on, through a lot of different tweaks and talking to different experts, and no one has an answer, by the way. No one has an answer, because their accounts are getting shut down too. So we were like, okay, if no one has an answer, we got to figure this out. And because we were following a lot of the typical, right, traditional, proven copywriting principles. But when it comes to social media, a lot of what used to work, and you need their fundamentals, okay? You need those understandings first. But there are distinctions within those principles that, when it comes to social media, they don't work as well, right? Because I'll give you a perfect example, okay? Certain things you could say, you could promise, like one of those like very compelling, mouth-watering headline. Well, some of those you cannot use on Facebook, because Facebook would say, oh, that's too outrageous of a promise, right? You need to tone it down. You can't promise that, or disclaimer, and all these things, which no one was teaching, which I'm going to teach you. Who wants to learn how to do that? Okay. So imagine all these businesses out there, they need this help because they can't run ads, they can't scale without understanding of how copy like this works. So we were having challenges. Now, Blake, now listen to this, and this is the difference between a winner and a loser. Blake, without asking me, by the way, invested. Was it 4,000, 5,000, Blake? It was $4,000, $5,000.
$7,000.
$7,000. Okay, that's a big chunk of it. What I was paying him, just so you know. Okay, use that money, invest in a Facebook expert to teach him certain little things, certain little techniques that could help us as a group to overcome this problem. Now, I did not ask him to do this. I did not pay for that training. He paid for that himself. He invested in himself and come back and didn't ask for, oh, Sifu, can I invest 7,000 into this to solve problems for the team? You know, can you reimburse? Nothing. I find out later. That's the difference. That's our team. That's our team. How many of you could relate to Stephen, Ed, Peter, Blake stories, or some parts of the stories? Put in the chat. You have a story as well. As you're going through this journey, write down your story. Why? Because someday I might ask you, hey, you know what? Come to class, share your story. I want you to share how you ran from zero to hero. What's your journey like to inspire new students, to inspire others, to inspire the new wave of copywriters? That's what I always like to do. So your story, even your struggles, could help other people. Your struggles could inspire others. Your struggles are very valuable. So don't feel like that, oh, it's just my pain, is just my sad story. No, it has value. It has a lot of value that you could use this. We could find value from it, because now all the shit that you've gone through, or maybe you're still going through, it gives us some meaning. It gives it a purpose that at least somebody could benefit from this. So make it a habit. Write down these things. We all have our stories. I have a lot of stories, but now I'm also using those stories to inspire millions and millions and millions of people from all over the world. As much as I hate that I had to go through that, I'm grateful that I went through some of those things, some of those ups and downs. How many follow what I'm saying? Yes. So, and as we go on each week, Stephen, Ed, Peter, Blake, how many want to learn from them? Put in the chat. Exactly like the Avengers, they all have their own talents and strengths and superpower. Every single one of them is different. And they'll go into the different techniques, and some of the classes you'll see in upcoming weeks, they will lead the classes. Pay very close attention. Pay very, very close attention, because they are the ones that are in the trenches, right? They know right now, like, especially when it comes to tactics, like day to day, what is working right now, this minute, right? They could teach you. In some cases, certain segment, they could teach it better than I could teach you. Because Sifu is a visionary, big picture, I could teach you that. But certain like little distinctions, techniques, because they're in there day to day, day in and day out. So you are very fortunate. You're not just getting me, you're getting my team, and they would bring a different perspective. And sometimes, because I've been doing it for so long, sometimes what I do is unconscious competence, that I just do them. But they would always bring a perspective, kind of like a thinking for you, right? Put themselves in your shoes as a beginner. Okay, Zifu, of course you don't think about it, but what if someone is getting started? They haven't done like a single page of copy yet. What do they have to do? I said, oh, right, okay. I need to think about that. Does that make sense? So give them a round of applause in the chat. Great job. Great job. Pay very, very close attention. What I want you to do, pay very, very, very close attention. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Focus. Okay. What if Sifu told you there's a way to become a high-income copywriter 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, even 10 times faster? How many of you would like to learn how to do that? Put in the chat. Who wants to know how to do that? Sales psychology secret number 1. Hand copy great ads and sales letters. How many of you are already doing that? You've been practicing. You've been hand copying, hand writing those letters and ads that we've given you, yes? I remember years ago when Alan was teaching me. And I asked him the question, so Alan, how do I get good fast? Like, how do I get good fast? Because I flunked English twice when I was in high school. So this whole copywriting thing, I just like, what's the best way to do this? And I remember he gave me a very pretty profound answer, but it's a very good answer. He said the easiest and the fastest way to become a good writer is by what? By writing good writing. I said, the fastest and easiest way to become a good writer is by writing, not just writing, but writing good writing. Because if you write bad writing, you're going to become a very good bad writer. Like it's so simple, but it's very, very profound, don't you think? Because could you be doing something and you're very, very good at it, but it's actually the wrong thing? Yes or no? Right? Just like the beliefs that we have, even in life, about money, about success, about skill, about education. You could be very good at it, just we picked the wrong thing. So writing good writing. And he said, copying sales letters by hand in print, the brilliant and profitable sales copy in your mind. I'll say that one more time. Because I saw it in the Facebook post. Some of you are asking, well, Sifu, what's the purpose behind this? You want to know the why. I'm telling you the why. Copying sales letters by hand in print, those ideas, concepts, wording, it's like a download, imprints in your mind. This is why I'm asking you to do it. And you don't just do it once or twice and, oh, I got this. And I know, I don't even need to ask. Some of you believe, see, I got it. I just need to read it. I just need to read it. I get it. I mean, I can read it out loud. I don't need to have to write this. I can't find a pen. It's very difficult to buy a pen nowadays, And no one has papers. Who has papers nowadays? Okay. No. Pen and paper. And I know some of you have not done the assignments. I know that for a fact. Or you've done fucking half a page. Then why are you here? You're here to learn. I'm giving you the secret. You don't want to practice it. Just like when Alan taught me this, and you'll see it on one of my YouTube video when I was presenting. When he taught me this simple but powerful secret, and he said, over the years, no one does it. No one does it. He told so many people to do it. No one does it. I was one of the very few people who just, what a shocker, coachable. Okay, I need to hand copy sales letters. That's what I would do. If the secret to good writing is writing good writing, I'll do it. Like, what a fucking concept, right? Being coachable. And I did. So I want you to think of, how many of you are in HTC? Now in HTC, what makes high ticket closing so special? One of our secrets is what? Role play, isn't it? Right? It's role play. So here's how I want you to view it. Within HIC, high income copywriter, hand copy sales letters, that's your fucking role play. In high ticket closing, on the phone, role playing on the phone, on Discord, that's your role play. It's equivalent of that. This is the dojo. This is how you practice. Okay, so hand copy equals role play. Does that give you more clarity? Now in HTC, how many hours of role play do we do? Yes, minimum an hour a day. For some, 2-3 hours a day. When you're learning the skill, it is the same in high income copywriting. So hand copy equals role play. Writing by hand actually activates more areas of your brain than reading, typing, or just saying something out loud, recitling. You need to do it by hand. This is why sometimes I would ask you and I'll give you different assignments. Oh, Sifu, why? Or sometimes even asking how. It's not a fucking question of how. And I know everybody wants to know how. And I'm going to give you more how to your head would fucking hurt. It's not how, it's who. Who you are, who you need to be, who you learn from. It's not just the how. Like I said, you can get the fucking how in from a book. It's not the issue. If all it takes is reading a damn book on copywriting, then everybody would be a high-income copywriter. Why are there so many struggling writers out there? That's not the answer. And copying ads by hand helps you learn copywriting on a subconscious level. What kind of level? Subconscious level. Now, one of the things to deepen your learning, sometimes when Sifu asks you a question, even though we're muted, I want you to yell back the answer. Okay, I want you to be fully engaged. You can type in, but also want you to yell the answer at the same time. Just like I'm live with you, right? I'm here. So yell back the answer. You'll remember more. Don't just say in your head, say it out loud. Say it out loud. You will retain so much more as I'm teaching different lessons to you, okay? So you will internalize, what would you do? Internalize the ads better, okay? And you digest, what do? You digest every word. How many of you notice when you are handwriting those letters, you are seeing patterns? How many of you are recognizing, you're noticing some patterns? How many of you are noticing the different words that they use? Like, oh, that it's good. Like, like you have those aha moments, right? It's like, that's interesting. And maybe the first time you do it, you write that paragraph, you don't think about it. But the second or third time, oh, I can see where this is going, right? Right? I could see this is very powerful, this particular word. And you wonder, like, what if I use a different word? How would that sound? would that be like? And all these things are imprinting those concepts and ideas and copy in your mind. It's like a download. Do you understand? This is why I asked you to do it. And you would pay close attention to the different elements, because it's what makes an ad work and what makes an ad great. If an ad has produced $1 billion, do you think there's something in there that the copywriter is doing right? Hello? But by reading it, you won't get it. You won't get it. You need to write it out, right? You need to write it out. And I remember what I used to do. I would handwrite it, and I was also read it out loud, right? I'm reading. I'm like, how does it sound? I'll read it out loud. I'll write it. I'll think about it. I'll study it. I'll tear it apart. I just immerse myself into this, and I still do. And you see within my team, and you'll get to that point as well, right? When I bring something to the copywriting team, like a sales copy, a swipe file, I mean, the whole entire copywriting team, the young guys, okay, they get horny looking at the letters. It's like looking at Playboy. Anyone still reads Playboy? No joke. Right? I bring ourselves like, this. It's like they're looking at some sexy woman or something, right? No, they're looking at like a fucking headline, right? They get all horny about it. Seriously, especially Steven, by the way. He gets, this is so good. Like, oh my God. Oh, look at the guarantee. This is, you would like to be like that too. Don't laugh. All of you would be like that, right? And you get more excited looking at copy, looking at like ads, right? You're like, oh, that I gotta save that. This is so exciting, because it is a whole different world. It gives you a different perspective. Any things you guys want to share?
Yeah, so if you want to share like a little story about how it goes into your subconscious level, right? So when I first joined the team, I was so curious about what made you so persuasive and the way you talked and performed and like just wrote. So the first month, I just hand copied the entire FU Money book. And by the end of it, something funny happened. So when I was watching your YouTube videos, I would notice there are moments where like, I can guess your next sentence because I had hand copied your entire book. By the end of the month, I could guess what you were going to say next. So like on a subconscious level, it actually like transformed me on very deep. But during it, I thought I was wasting my time.
Because it's a subconscious thing.
Yeah.
It's not like a book learning. Oh, no. Yes, you're doing it. It's kind of, you're adding, it's like you're downloading more data. You're downloading more wisdom, intelligence to your brain. You won't feel any different, by the way. You'll do this for 30, 60 days, 90 days. You don't feel anything. But when you use it, suddenly, when you're writing an ad, you're writing an email, you're writing a subject line, suddenly, like things would pop up in your mind. You're like, where does that come from? I know where that comes from. Where do you think that comes from? Right? From all the assignment that you've been doing, you've been practicing, right? So benefit number one, why do you want to handwrite great ads? You learn how to construct. What do? Construct winning sales messages. Hand copying allows you to pay close attention to each word, because when you're typing, you're not paying attention. Doesn't it take time to handwrite something? Yes or no? Each word, and especially for those you have not been writing using a pen for a long time, it's even slower. It forces you to pay close attention to each word, each phrase and sentence you write. I call that your sensitivity. Just like martial art, like in Wing Chun, we have the sticky hand, the chi sao. It practices your sensitivity. It teaches you to be more sensitive about words. And you have a better understanding the ad's strength. And more importantly, you will see more carefully which parts move you emotionally or compel you to act. Give me an example. When the different ads that you have you've been working on, right? You've been handwriting them. Are there different parts that stood out to you? Maybe it's the exclusivity. Maybe, yes, the Wall Street Journal, and maybe it's the storyline. Oh, yeah, remember, I guarantee it. Yes, right? It's like that. You're going to pay me $10. That's good. It's very strong call to action. For people like you, yes, that's very good. The PS, very good. See, but you see what's fascinating? Your answer is all different. It's all different. Everyone's answer is different. And you will pay attention. You will see which parts compels you to act. Sometimes it may not be the call to action part. Sometimes it could be the story part. Sometimes it could be the benefit. Sometimes it's the bonus. Sometimes it's the guarantee. Sometimes is the PS at the end, like, I don't know. I'm not so sure. You're sitting on a fence, but boom, the PS just like, wow, yes, that is so beautiful, right? So what happens is subconsciously, you are actually breaking down the ad and analyzing it while you're copying. This is not, again, it's not a subconscious thing. It's not conscious, it's a subconscious thing. It's not a conscious thing, it's a subconscious thing. Do you follow me? Okay. In essence, you're not just hand copying or rewriting, you're actually studying it more intently. Just like role play equals hand copy.
Hey, Sifu, can I share a quick
Yes.
explanation on the last point there? So lately I've been hand copying a lot of sales letters because one thing that I really am focusing on and dialing in on is getting the structure and the flow better. And as you start going through more sales letters and more ads on your journey of being a high income copywriter, you'll see that these copywriters are not so creative. It's not so difficult to put together a winning campaign. As you start to see more and more examples of winners, you'll start to begin to see all the similarities. And eventually, like Sifu said, this is the fastest way to become a really high paid, high income copywriter, because you'll start to see all the patterns and all the examples and all the ways that they are similar. And then you start to take those and put them in your own copywriting and put your own twist on them. Like Sifu said, everybody here sees a different reason why they thought that the sales letter worked. So you add your own twist, your own frame, your own perception of what the sales letter is, and that's what's going to make it convert. That's what's going to give you that little edge that no other copywriter has, because you're adding your own twist on it. And after being so experienced from seeing all the different ads and all the different sales letters, you can't be beat. And you'll be able to write sales copy way faster.
Is this sinking in? Yes? Now, here's a great quote from Bruce Lee. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do an imitation of my Bruce Lee imitation. Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. You put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put water in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. So when you are writing, benefit number 2, you learn how to flow like water. You learn to flow like water. Now, in closing, on the phone, we want to learn how to flow now, don't we? We're not reading from a script. We are redirecting objections. We learn to flow on the phone. It's like playing a chess game with a prospect. Now, in copywriting, it's the same. Your sales copy should flow just like a waterfall. It should flow from beginning to the end. Every sentence's job is to make sure you read the next. What is the purpose of a headline? The purpose of a headline is not to make the sale. The only purpose of a headline is to get you to read the first paragraph, period. What's the purpose of the first paragraph? To get you to read the second paragraph. That is it. And what's the purpose of the second paragraph? To read the third paragraph. It needs to flow. It needs to flow. So what happens is when you handwrite classic, especially the classic, right? It could be space ads, display ads, sales letters, every word, you notice every word deserves to be there. What's the key word? Underlined. Say it with me. Deserve to be there. There's no wasted effort. There's no wasted words. Every word. The copywriter worked very, very hard. See, it's because you work very hard at writing it. That's why the reading is easy. I'll say that one more time. Make sure you get this. Are you writing this down? It's because you work very, very hard at writing the ad. That's why for the reader, reading it is easy. Because it takes a tremendous amount of effort to make sure that everybody understands this. And this is why the transitions from a lead to a sales offer, it needs to be smooth, like butter. It needs to be smooth. You notice like amateurs, when they're writing ads or pages, very easy, you can see that you're reading this certain chunk and suddenly you see, what the heck? Like, how come this copywriter is like, goes off a tangent and just like, you lose the flow. It becomes an interruption. And then you lose interest and you lose readership. Does that make sense? But you notice a great copywriter, a high-income copywriter, is smooth. It's like you're reading it. And in some cases, if they're very, very good, it becomes like almost like a very addictive. Like you want to keep reading and reading. I'll give you a simple technique. Okay, it's kind of like a tactic. In direct mail, one of the things I've learned from Alan, and you notice, I refer to my mentor all the time. You notice that? Because always remember where you come from. Always remember where you come from. So with Alan, he taught me in direct mail. He said two things. Now, direct mail, let's say a typical direct mail piece, let's say 8 pages. Why 8 pages? Because it fits in an envelope and it's one stamp, right? In terms of the weight when you mail it. So 8 pages, meaning like 2-sided, okay? So you're reading on one side and then you flip the other side, you have the next page of copy. So first page, one side, second page, the other side. And Alan uses a technique, and you see in Alan's swipe file, bottom right corner, he would sometimes have a bracket saying, turn to the next page. Or over, that's right, please turn over. You'll see, he uses that a lot. Like a tiny little thing like that. Just like, oh, over, like turn over the page. It's very, very subtle. But what is that? What's the purpose of that? To keep you reading. He also likes to have what we call, and you'll learn it, called cliffhanger. What is it called? A cliffhanger. Meaning that it's an incomplete thought. It could be a dot, dot, dot. It could be he's talking about a certain point. So he would not finish the first page with a period, right? It would be an incomplete thought. Turn over and boom, you keep going. You getting this? Because of flow. It keeps you reading and reading and reading and before, because if they're not reading, they're not buying. If they are not reading, they are not buying. You need them to consume the materials. So your first goal is to get them reading your ad. Your first goal is not selling. If they're not reading your stuff, forget what they're going to sell. Doesn't matter, right? You first need to get the attention. Okay. Isn't this interesting? Can you see how profound this is? Like little things like these. And you will see things that people don't see. Because most people's their awareness level is too low. But one little technique like that. Benefit number 3, you learn proven writing frameworks. Writing frameworks. Now, what do I mean by frameworks? It means different ways or templates or structure. So let me give you a framework. Example, problem, agitate, solve. Write it down. Problem, agitate, solve. Now that's a very much a proven framework for marketing, for copywriting, meaning you tell them what the problem is, you state the problem, you agitate the problem, and you offer them a solution. This is like a go-to for copywriter. Tell them what the problem, state the problem, agitate the problem, so there's emotion, inject some emotions, and boom, solve the problem. That's a framework. So as you are hand copying these letters, you pick up these different frameworks. The more you hand copy ads and sales letters, the more you see the same sequences, phrases, and frameworks popping up. What we're looking for, okay? What are we looking for? We're looking for patterns. What are we looking for? Say it with me. Patterns. We're looking for patterns. And you see, oh, here's another problem, agitate, solve. I got that. Oh, here's a little framework for building up value. Here's a little framework for guarantee. You see what words they used, how they started their copy, how they presented the offer, how they close, how they emphasize on certain benefits and their call to actions and much more. An example, here's another AIDA formula in advertising. This is a very, very common formula, right? Awareness leads to interest, leads to desire, leads to action. Say it with me. AIDA. Awareness, interest, desire, and then action.
Hey, Sifu, do you mind if I share something? Real
Anytime.
All right, cool. A lot of times whenever I'm working with new copywriters or just copywriters in general, they always ask me, they're like, how do you write a Facebook ad? How do you write an email? How do you write a sales page? They're like, what framework should I use? Here's the secret. Like, really? You can use like what Sifu is sharing with us right now, AIDA in everything you write. It's not like, if you're writing an Instagram post, it's any different than if you're writing an email post. It's not like if you're writing an email post, it's any different from a Facebook ad. The principles of persuasion and the frameworks of persuasion stay the same. Now, you can play around with it. I mean, like masters, you know how, what's that saying? It's like first you learn it, first you master it, and then you break the rules or something like that. I can't remember. I'm not the best person at quoting stuff, but when you're first starting out, anything that you write, it's just like, yeah, even a text message. Ada is a girl. No, I thought what Michael Lee was saying that if you're sending like a text message to somebody and you want to get their attention, right? How's that any different than writing an ad? You can use the same framework. I do want to point that out.
And by the way, this works also in presentation. If you're doing a presentation, let's say you're doing public speaking, and Sifu uses it a lot. Awareness, interest, desire, action, or I can also do problem, agitate, solve. It's the same framework in terms of communicating a message. It's the same idea. You can use this for dating. Can you see how AID will work in dating? You need to first get awareness and then get interest, right? And then desire, and then you take action. You close the deal. It is the same. Doesn't matter you're selling someone to go on a date, to give you their phone number, right? It's the same. You get so good at this. Well, but yeah. you probably get more excited looking at copy than Playboy. That's for sure.
Definitely for your Tinder profile.
Yeah, forget it. Yeah, 100%.
I know I do, Sifu.
Yeah. It is a very interesting to witness. I'm telling you. Yeah, you see a bunch of guys like, oh, like you, like, you know, you think, well, they're looking at something. It's they're looking at sales letter.
Oh, David Ogilvy.
Yes. It's like, oh, it's David Ogilvy, man. Like, yeah, that's what they're talking about. It's pretty hilarious. So AIDA. Benefit number 4. This is probably one of the most important things, one of the most important value, I would say values, benefits I got from copywriting. And that's you learn how great copywriters think. You learn how great marketers think. Because copywriting, you know, I'll teach you tonight, is more than just writing ads and emails and scripts or sales letters. When you're writing, we need to develop what I call the big idea. What is it? What do we need to develop? Say with me, the big idea, right? We need to determine the market's dominant emotion, negative or positive, sophistication level, awareness level, and so much more before I write a single damn word. And when you hand copy old ads, proven ads, modern sales letters, you'll see how great copywriters, they tie it all together. Again, we're looking for patterns. What are we looking for? Patterns, right? And you start noticing their hooks, what we call sales hooks, big ideas. And I'll give you all kinds of examples. Irresistible offers, right? A big plus, by the way, if it's in your industry. You see what's working in your industry, and you can borrow an idea too, or that's been proven to work to sell in the health industry or the financial industry or the investment industry. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Hey,
And
Sifu,
yes.
Can I jump in and add a
Yes.
quick thing here? Thank you. So I've noticed that as I've been writing over the years, if I don't have some kind of structure, or if I don't do enough research into the big idea, the market's dominant emotion, sophistication level, awareness level, and all those other things, the copy doesn't come out quite as good or quite as fast. But if I forget who said it, they said, think slow, write fast. So really take your time before you even put your pen on paper or your hands on your keyboard. Really dive deep into the market, into the strategy, into everything. And then when you write your copy, it should be relatively quick. So really focus your time on researching and preparing. So when you do write, you write quick and you write fast.
Think slow, write fast, take your time. Think about, and we'll teach you all the techniques, how do you actually think. I'll teach a lot of that tonight, but understand, take some time to think. When you have clarity about the offer, the big idea, the emotions, all these things, if you have the hooks, once you have clarity on that, writing is actually pretty easy. Because you know exactly, it's like you're writing a page. Well, you know exactly what you're gonna write, you know the offer, you know the paying, you know the benefits that they want. Writing, it's not difficult at all. Because by that time, with enough practice, you would know what words would work. You would know how to communicate your idea with clarity and conviction and confidence. Does that make sense? Yes? And that's what most people don't get, how to think. And I think Stephen, all the years, and Stephen been with me for many years now, right? And that's one thing he's always asking, right? And Stephen can jump in and share as well, is how I view things. And to fast forward today, everything that we do is because the foundation that I've built, I've established earlier in my career, learning how copy works, how words affect how people see things. And that's how I think about business model, how I think about in a promotion, how I think about the marketplace. All that knowledge comes from copywriting. And this is exactly precisely why nowadays I could see a lot of so-called entrepreneurs. You see this on Instagram, on social media, they have no fucking depth. Why do they have no depth? Tell me, why do they have no depth? No, not because they don't have big idea. No. That's exactly it. They don't know copywriting. They have no foundation. They have no foundation. When I say depth, I don't just mean the knowledge. I mean the decision-making process. I could talk with someone, and let's say an entrepreneur that I'm helping, and I could see by asking them a few questions, it tells me the way they approach the business model, their team, the leadership skills, the vision, their weaknesses, their strength. It would tell me a lot, and I would see, there's some gaps. There's some gaps between where they are to where they want to go, and they don't see it. I see it, but they don't see it. Let me ask you a question. How do you know a teacher is good? How do you know a mentor is good? How do you know a Sifu is good? Who knows the answer? You look at their students. Exactly. You're smart. You look at their students. Because are there people who are very good at what they do, but they can't teach? Yes or no? They don't know how to teach, or they just know they're just good, right? It's unconscious competence. So how do you know a teacher is good? You look at the students. Peter, Stephen, Blake, Ed, let me tell you this. All four of them, in fact, any one of them could teach this course. Any one of them. Forget all four of them. One of them could teach this entire program. You got all four. All four of them more than capable of teaching this. Why? There's one thing that I'm good, is a whole other thing to make them good and to make you good. No exaggeration. They might not be as funny, but they can do it. But they can do it.
We're definitely not as good as teachers as you are, Sifu.
It's like they have the knowledge to teach this, 100%. So think of that as like imagine this, okay? There's this vault. This is vault. And inside there's this huge amount of treasure. But that treasure is not money. It's not money. It's not gold. It's something better. Because let's say there's money in the vault. You go into the vault and you take some money out, take some gold out. What happens to that pile? Does it become, do you have less or do you have more? It shrinks, it decreases. But there's this vault that could go back to again and again. And every time you go to that vault, you'll be a little wealthier, a little bit wiser. And every time you go to that vault, nothing decreases, nothing diminishes. In fact, you could also choose to keep replenishing and keep accumulating that vault. What am I talking about? I'm talking about building your copy vault. Letters that you see, ads that you see, emails that you see. Build your copy vault. Because that's a place, and I prefer copy vault than just the word swipe file. Because a file, it feels like, it's just like, is it just one binder? Is it just like a couple binders? But I like the visual of a vault. right? It could be just in a corner in your room, a little bookshelf. In my case, it would be a big, like my little library. Who likes this idea of having your own copy vault? Now, and you're not going to fill up the vault with all the treasures overnight, but as you are handwriting these letters, you would accumulate them. You add them bit by bit. And Siva's been doing this for many, many years. I've been accumulating wealth in my copy vault for so many. Like I said, I've one binder, right, in my library, one binder, right, billions and billions of dollars in sales from those letters. And I have a lot of these. Like I have forget what I have virtually. I mean, what I have physically, right? So I have a lot of, well, here's a good question. Any suggestions on how to organize them? I organize them in two ways, okay? Either I organize them by who wrote them or what company. Let's say Agora, all this stuff is from Agora, or all this stuff is from, so-and-so, so-and-so copywriter, John Caples, whatever it might be, right? So I will organize by writers because they have a certain writing style. Or I like to also organize them by industries. So all this copy, this is for a certain industry. I like that. You can organize them by company. Now, this is something that I would say one of my strengths. And the copywriting team has seen this many times. We will be talking about concept. We'll be talking about hook. We'll be talking about a copy. And I could remember, oh, okay, you know what? I remember so-and-so had a letter, had a sales copy on this particular thing. And I will know where to get it. And I'll bring it to the team and say, hey, look at this. I have that capability. So building your own vault. The father of modern advertising said, any fool can make soap. It takes a clever man to sell it. So when I say copy vault, I say it's not the thing. It's a thing that sells the thing. Say it with me, loud. It's not the thing. It's the thing that sells the thing. Not the product. It's not the service. As a copywriter, you want to look, you want to study. What is the thing that sells the thing? What did she do? What did he do? What did she say? What did he write to make that sell? That's why you want to study. This is why when I'm reading magazines, I'm not reading the article first. I'm reading the ads first. When I'm watching TV, I love watching infomercials because I want to know what's the thing that sells the thing. I'm not the product. I don't care. I want to know, what are they saying? How are they making their offer? It's the thing that sells the thing. Building your vault. So now what happens? When you get these junk mails, what do? Do you just treat it like how everybody sees it and throw them in trash? In the trash can? Or would you kind of look at them? And the ones are no good, and you can tell those ones are no good. No, this is a waste of time. But the ones are good, you're like, this is a very good sales letter. And you save those. If my house is on fire, knock on wood, I will get my passport or my banking card and all those things. I'll get those things. But definitely, I'm grabbing my swipe file. I'm getting my copy vault. There's a lot of them. I need to kind of pick and choose which one I want to grab. It's going to be difficult. Because, listen to me, everything else I could get again. Almost everything else I could buy again. Except something that has sentimental value, like, family things, and I'll grab those. But definitely top 3 or 4 items, my swipe file. That would be the first 3, 4 items in my mind. Which binder I need to grab, right? Or Jenny will probably be out the door. She's saving me. She's tough. Right? She's probably grabbing the fire extinguisher already while I'm grabbing the swipe file. So it's not the thing, it's the thing that sells the thing. So for those of you who don't know my story and how I met Alan, would you like to know how I met Alan? So at the time I was struggling, just kind of like what Stephen and Ed was sharing and Peter. And not just struggling financially, but I was lost because I've had many failures in business, 13 to be precise, started and failed 13 businesses. And I was looking for answers. I was looking for solutions. I was looking for a way out. I was looking just for something that would get me out of my situation. And I had the idea of maybe I need someone to help me. I don't know. I know I needed a mentor, but I just, in my mind, I knew my way wasn't working. And I didn't have all the answers, although I was young, was naive, but I could not. Here's the thing. I could not argue with results. I could not argue with the results. My results were not good. I could say whatever I want. I could say I work hard, I this and that, and I'm diligent and I'm determined. None of that shit matters. My results are not good. So at the time I was because I was looking for different ways to make money and business opportunities, and I would get on all these different lists, right? I want to see what they have, and is this something that I could make money with? And I would be getting these letters from this particular gentleman, and everyone sends different things, but his letters are so different from everybody else, right? It always comes in a plain envelope, looks like a letter from grandma with live stamps, and sometimes handwritten fonts on the front for the address. And I would open those and I would read and I would look at the letters, and I would be fascinated, because it's always the thing that sells the thing. Is the story, is just the words that he was using. And one time I got this letter as an invitation to attend a free workshop. Well, awesome, because I didn't have money. If it's free, it's for me. So I attended the workshop. I registered for the workshop. And I was sitting in the back of the hotel room. Now, at the time, I was getting these letters from a gentleman called Alan Jacks. I was sitting in the back of the hotel room, and there was a man sitting next to me, on my right next to me. I saw his name tag, and says Alan Jacks. I look at the speaker. I look at him. I look at the speaker. I look at him. And I said, no fucking way. There is no way. Like, it can't be, right? So I asked Alan. I said, I was like nervous. So I started, are you Mr. Alan Jacks? He said, yes, I am. And I said, oh my fucking God. And I was jumping up and down. I said, I am a huge fan of your work. I said, I love what you do. And he was, first he was a bit shocked, right? And then he was like, oh, thank you very much. Yes, because at the time, Alan runs a financial education seminar company. And one of the largest back then in Canada. And he said, yeah, we do a lot of education workshops. We do very good workshops. I said, no, not the workshops. I love your letters. I said, in fact, I collect, I store, I save all your letters. I have a binder. I 3-hole punch all these letters and I put them in a little binder. And he was like, oh, that's a little weird. Like, you could tell he'd never heard of that before, right? Like, it's like, you got to understand, right? Back then, this is Sifu, like 20-ish, right? Spiky hair, glasses, pimple face, speaking with thick accent, and this guy's raving about his letters. Like, it's a pretty weird thing. You gotta understand. It's a pretty weird, like, visual. All right. And I asked him a question that forever changed my life. I said, "Can I buy you lunch?" And he said, he paused a little bit, and then he said, "What the hell? I gotta eat." And he said, "Yes." So, and then we went down to the restaurant. I mean, because I was yelling. You gotta understand, I was yelling. Oh my fucking god! In the back of the room, the speaker was like, "Shut the fuck up." The guy wanted to kick me out anyway, so it's good that we leave the room, right? I was too excited. I was too like just like way too excited, like way too much enthusiasm at the time. It was intense. So we went into the restaurant and we sat down. And the first thing I said to Alan is this. I said, "Alan, I'm so honored." I call him Mr. Jax back then. I just said, "Hey, Mr. Jax, I'm very honored because I want to be polite." He said, no, just call me Alan. I said, okay. I said, "Alan, no, I'm so honored that you're having lunch with me. I just want you to know that I'm a young guy. I'm just kind of getting going, trying to learn business, and frankly, I had a lot of business failures. I actually don't have a lot of money. So, for this lunch, if you order like, a burger or a drink, that should be okay. But if you order a steak or anything like that for lunch, my card probably won't go through. Like, it will probably decline." Right. And he just laughed. Right. He just laughed. You can see, right. I was very, very honest. And I think that he loves that. Right. I wasn't trying to pretend to be someone who I'm not. Like, I just was very, very upfront. And he said, "Oh, no worry, I'm not hungry. Just, I think he ordered Coca-Cola or something, but the simple thing, he didn't order a whole lot." And we talked. And afterwards, and I found out his office, where he's at. And I'm not an advocate of this, okay? And don't do this to Sifu, by the way. But this is what I did. I was stalking him, okay? I was stalking him. So I would go to his home office in Coquitlam back then. And I would go to cause I want to learn from him, right? Because now I saw him, we connected. I think it's great. And I would now remember my first business. What was my first business? Right? That's right. Mowing lawns, right? So I would mow his lawns, right? I would like mow his lawns and like do gardening work outside and just like being in that place for like many, many days. And his wife back then would be like, "Who the fuck is this Asian kid? Like, did you have an affair, or like it's like a bastard child? Like, what the fuck is this?" Right? Like, just weird, right? He had to explain, and finally couldn't take it. Say, "Okay, fine, I will take you on," right? But only under 3 conditions, which is the same rule that I have in that I teach to all my students, right? What are the 3 rules? He said, "I will take you on." Yeah, that's right. No opinions, no excuses, and no victims. He said, if you follow those 3 things, I'll take you on as a student. And he did. And that's how I met Alan. Now, Alan is, he's how I would describe him as he's a kind of like a very eccentric kind of a person. He and I are actually very, very different. He has, sometimes he has a temper. Sometimes he's not very patient. And he doesn't actually teach me. Everything he does is more through actions. A lot of what I learn is like through observation. He doesn't sit down with me and say, "Okay, you do A, B, C, and D." He never does that. Okay. He's not doing it. He's not doing the way that I'm teaching you. Right. I just He'd just say, okay, do this. Or, okay, these are the books, read those books. Sometimes he doesn't even tell me to read the books. He would just say something very vague and say, okay, you have access to these. You can read them if you want, but don't bring them home. You can read them here. And that's it. He didn't say anything else. He didn't say you're going to read this. You should do this. You have no idea how lucky you are. I'm giving you like a step-by-step plan on how to become a copywriter. Okay. Back then, I just figure it out. He doesn't say anything. He just that's the way he teaches, right? And when I send him stuff, he will critique and he'll rip it apart. Now, when he rip it apart, he also doesn't teach me how to fix it. He just said, this is shit. Do it again. I said, why is it shit? It's shit. Why would I give you any comment on a piece of shit? Do it again. Right? Why would I waste my time on that? So he was pretty tough on me on certain things, right? And sometimes he'll be very, 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 like he would give me assignments just like that are very unconventional. Just unconventional. I want you to meet with this person. For what? Doesn't matter. Meet with this person. I want you to call this guy, right? I want you to take this to the post office, right? It's just like all kinds of weird thing. That's been like, yeah, wax on, wax off, and I didn't think too much. But throughout that time, I would, and sometimes he would say, okay, Dan, I want you to come to this thing. I want you to sit in the meeting. Okay, so do you want me to take notes? Doesn't matter. Just sit in the meeting. I was in the meeting. I would pay attention. Like it's very, very interesting. Right? He's that kind of a teacher. So it's not like totally different style. For most, I think you probably, for most people, they probably wouldn't understand. And until this day, not only I'm his first mentee, I'm his only mentee. He's never had a mentee. I'm the only one. He's never trained anybody else. So it's a very special relationship. I'm his only apprentice. And fast forward so many years later, when I became, relatively successful, and he was going through divorce, and he was downsizing. So he had a big house first in Langley, big house, and he would have his like this house has a whole wing that is like a library. It's a big library. I mean, it's not like, it doesn't even look like a personal library. It looks like a library. Okay, thousands and thousands of books. And I remember he was downsizing. He was moving to a smaller place because of divorce, and he was moving into a smaller condo. And he invited me to come. He said, "Now, Dan, I'm downsizing. These are the books that I've accumulated over the years. Before I donate them, the ones, I want you to have the first choice. You pick what of the books that you want. They're yours." And I picked out probably hundreds, maybe 400 or 500 books. Now, let me just explain. You don't understand. Because Alan values his books more than anything else over the years. I know. That is his most valuable possession. He values his books more than money. He values his books more than anything. Like that's his treasure. He didn't say anything, but I knew what that means. I was very touched. I was very, very touched. Because he just asked me, and he doesn't make a big deal out of it. He doesn't say, oh, this is the most, it's just, no, you pick what books you want before doing it. Some I'm going to throw away anyway, but you pick. I was so touched. And Jenny was with me. We went to his house. We put all the boxes. We get a lot of boxes. We put in the books, and Jenny was like, "Well, why are you getting so many books?" I said, "I'll explain later." Right? I'll explain later. And I put all those books, and I remember at his door, like walking out to the garage, like now it's like the final box, and I picked, like I've got some stuff in my library, for Stephen, like, who's been to my house. I've got some good stuff, like stuff you can't even, you can't even. It's so valuable, like books that are so valuable. And I was taking the last box, and Alan said to me, "These books are yours. Use them well. Use them well." That's the moment I knew that his past, like, it's not the books, it's his way of expressing, "I'm proud. I've taught you well." Right? It's passed the torch, exactly. It's the books are kind of the metaphor, but that's our relationship. That's our relationship. And very soon, like later, right, like because his Parkinson's disease, like his health got worse and worse and worse and worse, right? This is why I have so much respect for my mentors. I always remember where I came from. It's all these, and I have so many little stories, right? And I take on that responsibility, that how one good mentor who believes in you more than you believe in yourself, how one person could change your life, how one person changed my life. Not even people say, "Oh, he changed my life." No, I'm not. He changed my life. He gave me the skill of copywriting. He taught me the habits of reading books, building my copy vault. He taught me how to think. He taught me how precious time is, because when I first met him, his health was fine. It was afterwards when he had the Parkinson's disease and it got worse and worse. Every great copywriter has a swipe file. They have a copy vault. The legends have it. 6-7-figure copywriters, they have it. So hand copying not only lets you understand these letters on a subconscious level, but you could also look to them for inspiration. You're not going to get a huge swipe file overnight like Copy Vault, but one at a time, when you pay attention, when you see things, you can add to it. So when you're stuck, when you have writer's block, with your Copy Vault, guess what? You're not going to have writer's block. If you have writer's block, it simply means what? You're not looking. You're not doing enough research. You're not looking into other people's work. And copywriters should have no egos. I talk about this week 1. I'll say that again. One of the biggest mistakes I see copywriters make is once they get decent, not even good, once they get decent, they get cocky. Because everybody else sucks. Everybody has no clue how marketing works, how copywriting works, how human psychology works. So you, by, like, let's say everybody is like a -10, even if you're a 2, you feel like, oh my God, I'm so much better. I have so much more knowledge compared to everybody else. Especially when you're learning, that learning curve is, at first you're going through hell. But if you stay with it, you stay on course, and you are dedicated, you will see tremendous improvement in the next 7 weeks. And you see the biggest improvement probably in the first year. Like year one, from not knowing anything, zero, right? How many of you don't know anything about copywriting? People coming in, zero. So from not knowing anything to knowing something, like even just something, you feel like, oh my goodness, this is great, this is crazy. And you stay the first year from like terrible to average, and you will see that improvement. And most people, that's why they get to that average copywriters. That's when they like, oh, I'm good, because they haven't seen a lot. They haven't done a lot yet. And then most would stay stuck at like average. And then when you push through that after year one, I would say after year one. Now, by the way, it doesn't mean like that 1 year you're not making money. You're making money. I'm talking about from a skill perspective. Okay? From a skill perspective. So the second year, you usually would plateau. You're making money right away. So think about a maybe, let's say, music instrument or sports that you play, that you know how to do, that maybe you've been doing it for a few years. Think back when you first don't know anything about, let's say, guitar, pianos, basketball, skateboard, whatever it is, right? You don't remember, like at first you don't know anything. When you kind of learn it and focus, the first year, you see a tremendous amount of improvement, right? Remember that? Yeah, making cakes, yeah, anything, right? The first year, like, yeah, from not knowing anything to like, oh, I'm pretty good, right? You feel pretty good about yourself. And then what happens usually afterwards, you hit a plateau. And most people, they either stay stuck during that time or they give up, for some, right? Either give up or they stay stuck. And then it was so difficult to get to that from average to good. From average to good. Very, very hard. Very, very hard. And then it's even harder when you go from good to great. That's why in this whole world, very few people are great at what they do. Very few. Very few. So, does that make sense? Because of ego. Ego stops them when they think I'm so good. When they think, you know what, the last promotion I did, I wrote, brought in X amount of dollars, and now jumping in and like, oh, suddenly, guess what? Get a little complacent, a little lazier, do a little less research, little bit less thinking time. That's what happens. That's what happens. And that's when the next promotion they do, the next copy they do, and it fails, falls flat on the face. And usually for some, they might learn from it. Okay, I need to be humble. I need to get rid of my ego and learn again. Or for some, they might not even accept it. Then they blame the marketplace. So the earlier you accept this, the sooner you can reach the top. Here's a good question. How do I get the balance from low self-esteem and ego? Ego is when you're no good and you think and you believe and you tell other people you're good. Self-esteem is you know you're good. And your action speaks louder than words. And everybody knows you're good. But you still have that beginner mentality. This is why I said last week, remember? See if we're just getting started. I'm a beginner. I am getting started. Do you understand? I'm not at the end of my journey. I'm in the beginning of my journey. That's the mentality that I have. And that gives me an edge. It gives me an edge. And guess what? When I'm 45, when I'm 50, when I'm 55, I'll say the same thing to you. I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started. So, timeout. Secret number one, the entire secret number one that I've just taught you, I have used high income copywriting skill. Let me run it through it again. Remember, I said to pay attention. In the beginning, I asked you a question. What's in it for them? Number two, I use comparison. Role play equals hand copy. I gave you 5 benefits, stacking them on. I gave you a quote from famous people, third-party endorsement. I talked about it's the sales process that matters. Shift the belief. It's not the thing, it's the thing that sells the thing. I talk about copy vault is a metaphor to excite imagination. I shared a story with you of how I met Alan. And at the end, I give you a very clear call to action why you need to hand copy great ads. So the entire secret number one I've just taught using copywriting skill. Do you see it? How many of your minds are blown? So think back what I've just taught. So it doesn't just apply to copy, it applies to when I'm teaching too. This is why my teaching is effective. This is why. We are 2 hours in. We on secret number one. We got 6 more secrets to go. Let's take a quick 3-minute break. And for those who need to take a break, take a break. For those who doesn't need to take a break, think about this. What I've just shared with you. 3 minutes.
All right, biggest aha moments. I want to see it in the comments. Biggest boom that just blew in your mind. So many. Yes, I agree. Getting coffee, good idea. Always learning. The power of process. I like that. The power of process. And no ego. Copy is not limited to just printing, writing, or advertising or marketing.
Staying
Yep.
humble is the key. And just to add something to what Steve was saying about how he's just getting started, like you guys are hearing it, but when you actually see Sifu in person, oh man, he learns really, really fast. He learns so fast, it blows my mind. Like he's going with the fundamentals now, but every week, every month, I see Sifu grow faster than I could ever imagine. I'm just like, I'm never gonna catch up. It's just mind blowing.
Yeah, but it always starts with that first step, right? It's funny because I was just talking to Sifu last week about his humble beginnings, and I asked him, didn't you have ego in your way? How do you do it? And he's like, oh yeah, I had ego. Right? So of course this is his early 20s, and he's like, yeah, but it's Alan Jacks, like, right? A good mentor who can really tell you like it is, and just stripping down to the core of it. So I really like that, but also being willing to be humble enough to accept that. And so that's something that I learned last week when he was talking about that, and something he just spoke about right now as well with Alan Jackson, his journey.
Yeah, exactly. And when you guys hand in your assignments and ads, remember, we're trying to make you guys the best you can be. So sometimes our feedback might not be pleasant. It might not be nice or what you need to hear, but it will help you guys become better copywriters. And that's the result we're going for.
That's good. Yeah. Do we want nice, or do we, yes, tough love? Do we want results? I mean, we're really here to learn. So
You guys want the truth?
I would say thank you.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh, and I know Sifu really rags on all of the copy team. I've seen him. Well, what is this? What? and everybody just takes it. Feedback, okay, we do. Feedback, okay, we do. Something I've noticed just every time that he grills all of you, I mean, you just take it, flip it, and reverse it, and really come back with something that is 10 times better, because you have to. It's just now it's in your being and just who you are, right?
Yeah, it's the feedback from Sifu is just priceless. And you got such tough skin from like listening to feedback from Sifu too, but like you don't really notice it until you start comparing yourself to other people out there. Like when you guys learn by week 7 from week 1, you compare, you guys are going to
that transformation. Yes. And I see everybody in Facebook commenting and posting, and I see a lot of you posting different type of copywriting. You're already utilizing that within your posts. Great. I say really do that. Practice it within Facebook and see how much engagement you get, right? See how many people comment back. I really love seeing that, because I can see who are already implementing these principles in Facebook. So congratulations.
All right, we are back.
Sifu.
Are you ready? Who's ready? Put in the chat. All right. Sales psychology secret number 2. Say with me, write the way you talk. Write the way you talk. What do you do? Write the way you talk. To make 6 figures, that's HIC, as a high-income copywriter, you do not need to be a master of the English language. If that was the case, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. I still make grammatical errors. It doesn't matter. You don't need to be able to rattle off the rules of grammar. By the way, I don't know. I forgot. Like I learned it when I was in high school and college. I forgot what those rules are. It doesn't matter. You don't need a college degree or a license. Because my team, same thing. They don't need a license to be a copywriter. All you need to be able to produce is results. Pretty much. Just fucking forget all the rules that your English teacher, like, see, here's a fucking typo. Your English teacher told you to keep. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Do you understand? I remember there was a piece of copy with Alan, and he was mailing that copy to promote a free workshop. And I noticed there are some like typos, like pretty big typos, by the way. And I said, well, Alan, do you want to change it? And he said, you know what he said? He said, why change success? It fucking works. Maybe it's the grammatical errors that hooks people in and it keeps attention. They're thinking about this. Why do you want to fucking change it? Right? That's it. I was like, well, that's actually, it makes a lot of sense. Right? It works. This is producing, is one of a control piece. Write this down. In marketing, the marketing, the ad, the page that is working the best converting page, we call that a control. What's it called? Control. So when you hear the word where, oh, we're trying to beat the control, it means that we're trying to come up with something better to beat whatever that's the best proven best-selling campaign. Is that control, right? Control. Break all the rules. You don't need it. Here's what you do need. You need to know the HIC methodology for writing hard-hitting focused copy. You need to have an understanding for structuring your offer, your pitch. You need to understand that. That's very, very key. In which I'm going to teach all of that. You'll learn those simple secrets in this course. As a copywriter, one of the keys, keep things simple. Keep things simple. Just use what is proven. And it doesn't matter if you're selling to a fractional jet owner, you're selling a jet, you're selling a highly sophisticated Fortune 500 CEOs, a blue-collar worker, a high school dropped out. You write exactly like the way you talk. Just like you're having a beer. Over a beer, over a cocktail. Just keep it very, very conversational. The best writing is very conversational. Closing in print is closing. Closing is personal, person to person. It requires rapport. If you talk like a professor, people lose interest. And believe it or not, this is exactly why people who are overly educated, too many letters after the name, it's difficult for them to understand. Because now they've done way too much academic writing, and for them to switch and say, I want you to be personal. I want you to be conversational. It's difficult. They need to unlearn a few things. Okay, they need to unlearn a few things. And they always believe, oh, but my clientele is more sophisticated. Right? My clientele is different. I hear this a lot, especially from like marketer, business owner. Oh, my clientele is different. No, I'll give you an example. Here's Bloomberg. Now, Bloomberg, first of all, Michael Bloomberg, he's a billionaire. Okay. He hired copywriter to write this. Now, this is an offer that targets to who? Sophisticated investors. This is not the people working at Walmart here. This is not people working at McDonald's. We're talking about Wall Street type guys. I'm going to read a few chunks. Pay close attention. So first of all, the headline. 27 secret strategies of Wall Street's biggest winners. Powerful money-making secrets for sophisticated investors only, all cap. The investment world's most effective money-making tools until now available only to Wall Street's elite, yours free. In the next few moments, I'm going to give you a critical advantage over 99.9% of all other investors. Some might even say it is an unfair, quote, advantage. Specifically, I'm going to give you 27 tools to cut your risk, pump up your profits, and simplify all of your investment decisions. Can you see how conversational that is? And this is Bloomberg. Very, very simple language. And I love this little chunk. I'll go back. I'll read this little chunk. More than 75,000 brokers, money managers, and top investors around the world pay up to $1,500 a month for these tools. But now you too can draw upon some of the same resources free. And then, yes, continue on page 5. You're paying attention, right? Next page. Do you also see how he breaks each paragraph down? Like it's only 3 or 4 lines. per paragraph. You see that? Why does he do it? Easy to read. Exactly. Easy to read. Let me go through another chunk. It's the same ad. 7 reasons why Bloomberg Personal is the world's most essential wealth building tools. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, very conversational. Very, very conversational. I'll read a paragraph right here. First paragraph. You don't have to be experienced or rich to benefit from Bloomberg Personal. But you have to want more for your investment than a money market fund. What did Sifu just talk to you about? Secret number 2, right the way you talk. I said you don't need a master. You don't need a degree. You don't need to understand the rules of grammar. When you're communicating, it's very, very powerful when you tell the reader what they don't need.